Dueling Dice is a game that I created that focuses on both luck and strategy. I wanted to make and develop a personal project to show that I have a general understanding of game mechanics, balancing, and structure. I chose a non-video game style of project to show that I can apply my logic and ideas to another medium. The first step in my process was the inspiration behind the whole concept. Many of the core ideas that built the gameplay was the result of looking through a box of my old dice from my childhood, and trying to think up ideas and gameplay mechanics each one could potentially have in a new game experience. I wrote down any ideas or notes I had during this early development period, and this eventually became the foundation for the design document that would feature the full set of rules. Video game design documents and instruction sheets from various board games became my reference material when I was doing my documentation. One of the first things that I identified was the basic goal or objective for players in the game. In this case, to reduce each opponent's life counters to 0 by rolling a higher number value with a selected dice. These are the numerical dice, the more plentiful, straightforward, and traditional type of dice featured in this game. Each dice type that was included in the final build of the game was designed to have balance between a positive and negative trait. The special dice types were created to be more strategic options that had more intricate abilities. The three principles of consistency, defense, and offense are what they are based on, but even they have a slim chance to fail. However, not all is lost. There's always an optimal chance to use each dice that you have in your dice pool. The design document has several sample turns that I experienced and recorded during testing that show this. For demonstration purposes, let's examine one of them right now. This is to give you a better understanding of the game as a whole. Player 3 has the buck chip, and thus goes first for this turn. He chooses to roll a weak die to get it out of the way. He rolls a 6-sided die, and ends up with a value of 3 for the turn. The turn order continues clockwise, and player 4 goes next. He rolls a double die, and receives an 8. It's a low value, but it still puts him ahead. Player 1 rolls the 20-sided die, but puts himself in jeopardy by receiving a value of 2. Player 2 now only has to roll higher than a 2 to avoid losing a life counter. He uses a 12-sided die to do this, and ends up with a value of 11. Player 1 had the lowest roll of the turn, and loses a life counter. Player 2 has the highest roll value, and will go first next turn. And with that, our little simulation example comes to a close. While developing this game, the rules changed quite a bit, and each iteration proved to be more fun than the last. However, some of these modifications, while not being as balanced as the final product, ended up being a lot of fun as well. A section was introduced at the end of the design document to feature these alternate ways of play. The main reason some of these rule sets and iterations got cut was because they relied too much on luck instead of actual strategy. That doesn't necessarily mean that using luck as part of a game structure is a bad thing. In fact, it was intentional. A large part of many widely accepted games, such as poker or Yahtzee, rely on luck as a heavy part of the game. The reason that these games still can succeed is because they have strategic elements outside of this random luck. It allows players that are more knowledgeable about the game to determine the risk factor associated with each of their choices, and then choose appropriately. Dueling Dice was designed to be a direct adaptation of that notion, and I think I've succeeded in making a game that's simple to learn, but players will still find a challenge in deciding when it's the best time to use each kind of die. Thanks for watching.